Hi, welcome to the Eli and Edith Broad Art Museum at Michigan State University. My name is Michelle Ward and I'm the Director of Education here at the museum. When you picture an artist at work, what comes to mind first? Do you imagine an artist alone in their art studio? While some artists do indeed work solo in a studio, there's no one way that an artist creates, no one space they create their art within. Many artists collaborate, even work with communities as part of their process. They may also collaborate with others through research. Today, I want to share some work from the exhibition Seeds of Resistance, and more specifically, 4 artists who are engaged in artistic practice that extends far outside the confines of their studio. Collectively, these artists challenge us to imagine better futures so we can begin to create real change together. This show is about, well, seeds, but much more than that. Because artists respond to the internal and external worlds around them, their work is often timely and relevant and reflective of the most important pressing issues before us. The artists included in this exhibition plant seeds of resistance, and they invite us to join them. They invite us to connect with seeds, the plants they produce, and all the ways biodiverse ecosystems nourish our mind, body, and soul. Come on, join me. Let's take a look at a few of the artists in Seeds of Resistance that are collaborating with others. Think about your last walk in the woods. Did you nearly stumble upon life at your feet? The work we're walking around now is by artist Antonio Ballester Marino. And it was made by over 50 collaborators, all members of the Greater Lansing community. If we get down close and look, we will see that each mushroom is unique, much like its maker. All of our collaborators have contributed an important part to the whole. Antonio is really interested in cycles within nature. And he invites us to have conversations and to think together about our role within these larger cycles. Although a mushroom is not a seed, it still plays an important role in the health of a seed and the plants that follow. Much like our participation within the natural world can have positive and negative effects, everything is interconnected. When we have healthy mushrooms, we have a more healthy ecosystem. So just like the community members that participated in this project, we are all part of something bigger. We play a role in preserving and protecting the biodiversity of our planet. Change needs both individual and collective contributions. This artist asks us, what small, environmentally conscious actions could you take with others that might have a larger lasting effect? Let's go look at another artist who's collaborating in a different way. So the work we're walking around now is a herbarium. A herbarium is a collection, a space that houses different plant and fungi specimens. This herbarium was created by the artist Sam Van Aken. And Sam is a sculptor, but he uses what some might consider non-traditional materials. He works with nature itself. Sam tells us that this project grew from his work with the Tree of 40 Fruit sculptures. The Tree of 40 Fruit seeks to preserve heirloom stone fruits. What are stone fruits? Well, you eat them regularly. They are peaches, plums, apricots, even almonds. Sam, through his work with Tree of 40 Fruit, began to amass one of the largest collections of stone fruits. This led him to create this herbarium that you see here. He began this project because he was researching all of the varieties that he had collected for the Tree of 40 Fruit. To research these, he started pouring through manuals and other resources that he could find from the 16th to the 19th century to learn more about the history of the varieties that he had collected. Interestingly, to propagate a stone fruit, you must take a clipping from a plant and graft it onto another branch. The seed alone does not preserve the variety. So how exactly is this work a collaboration? So far, I've only talked about Sam working in it. Well, here, in many ways, Sam is collaborating with nature itself. But he also is collaborating with every person who propagated these varieties before him. When you graft, you are taking part in that lineage. You're taking part in the history, in the ways that these varieties have traversed the world. The fruit tree, in that way, becomes both genetic and cultural history. Now, let's go look at another artist. So now we're standing in front of Jackie Summel's work. Jackie is an artist and a prison abolitionist who is fighting mass incarceration in the United States. The work we see here sprouts from a much larger project, Solitary Gardens. This 12-year collaboration was with Herman Wallace, who spent 4 decades in solitary confinement at a Louisiana state penitentiary, also known as Angola Prison. In the 12 years the project has been ongoing, Jackie has collaborated with folks serving sentences in long-term isolation. The resulting works are often garden beds, plotted as the same size and blueprint as the cell that Herman and many others have spent decades in. The idea for the seed packs germinated from a plane ride. Jackie was happenstantially seated next to a man who builds jails. Knowing that she could not change the person's point of view in just a short plane ride, she began thinking about how she could create a conversation, and she produced the seed packets, a seed of dialogue about prison abolition. This version of the project, Social Gardens, Social Justice Seed Packets, was created while Jackie was an artist in residence in critical race studies in the College of Arts and Letters at Michigan State University. During that period, she worked with assistant professor Johanna Schulster-Craig and Peter Carrington, curator of the MSU Beal Gardens. They engaged with a class of MSU students to research and create these seed packets of Michigan native plants. Each seed packet includes information about the plant, as well as quotes. And as you open it up, there's an invitation to think more. And down at the bottom, right below the seeds that you're invited to plant, it says, with the planting of a seed, literal or metaphorical, we set intentions for what we would like to grow. Write down your intentions for building a world through collaboration and co-liberation. Here, the artists and their collaborators, they're inviting you to start a conversation, you to sow a seed of resistance. Jackie says, can you imagine a landscape without prisons? Nature, like hope, love, and imagination, will ultimately triumph over the harm humans impose on ourselves and on the planet. When you're here, check this piece out. You'll get to be one of the collaborators. Now, let's take a look at some other artists collaborating. So the last artist we're going to look at today is Vivian Sansour. And I think the best way for us to have this conversation is to take a quick seat at the table here. Vivian was born in Palestine and grew up in Bethlehem. She doesn't live in one particular place, and her work has taken her all around the world, including here in Michigan. She founded the Palestinian Heirloom Seed Library in 2014 as an effort to preserve ancient seed varieties that were native to the Palestinian territories. And the reason why I said sitting at a table is an interesting place for us to talk about Vivian's work is because the table is where we share a lot of our seed stories. And Vivian is certainly interested in preserving the seed itself, but she wants to bring more than just the genetic content of that seed. She wants us to think about the cultural connections we have to that seed. And this is the place where we pass the dishes that are made from the seeds that grow within our communities. So the library project is a much larger project. We're only seeing a little piece of that here. Here we're seeing personal stories, stories of foragers, of survivors, of farmers in both Palestine and in the United States. The postcards that you see on the table, each tell some of those seed stories. You see more of them over here on the wall as well. The library project serves as a space for collaboration with artists, with poets, with writers, with journalists, with farmers. Working closely with farmers, the project has identified key seed varieties and food crops that have been threatened with extinction and helped bring them back to the communities who have grown them for centuries. The Seed Library is all about collaboration, and Vivian wants to make sure that you have the opportunity to collaborate too. Tell us your seed story. You have a couple of opportunities to do so. One is to share with us a recipe or a dish that you pass and the stories behind it. Another opportunity is over here on the wall. I don't know about you, but I've always wanted to draw on a museum wall. And now you have the opportunity. The artist asks us, if you were a seed, what kind of seed would you be? Here someone says, a maple seed. And another person says, I would be bull thistle, because weeds are cool and the ultimate survivors. Thank you for joining us here at the Eli and Edith Broad Art Museum at Michigan State University for a quick tour of Seeds of Resistance. I hope today you've been able to learn a little bit about ways that artists collaborate and maybe been inspired to collaborate too. If you're interested in visiting the museum, you can book a ticket online, put a mask on, and come visit us. We'd love to see you.